Happy Friday, everyone. So excited to have the next webinar here. And I'm joined by the wonderful Andy Crestodina. Andy, some of our audience who don't know you probably want to know who you are and what people hire you to do. So could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I'm the co-founder of a digital agency called Orbit Media Studios. And Orbit is 100% focused on websites. So we do mainly two things. We build websites and we optimize them after they're live. So it's a team of 55 people. Headquarters is right here in Chicago. This is year 24. And we do maybe 30 or so high-performing B2B lead gen sites per year, optimized for search and optimized for conversions. And then we do kind of ongoing retainer-based SEO and other things post-launch. And I'm excited to be here, Joe. I've been looking forward to this.
Yeah, and you wrote a book too, right? Like I swear I have your book in my shelf somewhere.
Content Chemistry, the illustrated handbook for content marketing, has been around and has been written and rewritten many times. I will probably only ever have this one book, but I rewrite it every 2 years because times change. The new version 7, includes all the GA4 methods and AI prompts. So I had to go back and make a big iteration this time around. And it's on its way. It's at the printer now. So stay tuned.
Oh, awesome. So I'll wait and then get that one when it comes out.
Sure.
Yeah, no, and I remember reading the book, can't speak more highly of it. It was very interesting and very easy to read. One of the things that I will say about Andy's content is he has some of the best easy to digest content that I have seen in the SEO space. You don't have to be a total nerd to be able to understand what he's trying to say. And it's always like something that will make you kind of think and usually give you a lot of takeaways. So I really wanted to talk about kind of the thing that everybody's talking about these days, which is how content and AI work together, which just so happened to be the presentation that Andy did at MozCon this year. So he had my favorite deck of the entire conference. I'm not just saying that, I actually mean it. I took a lot of notes and I was like, ooh, I need to do this, I need to do that. And one of the things I want to kick us off with here, last year, I'm sure all of us know, when ChatGPT got big and everything was launching, there was like so much hype around AI, and everyone was saying, if you're a content writer, you're not going to have a job, and if you're an SEO and you're not using AI to if you're not using AI to help with your content, you're going to be out of business. Like I heard these kind of outrageous claims. So to kind of kick us off, you mentioned one of the things in your MozCon presentation about this hype cycle. Can you share that with our audience to explain how that works?
Sure. This is an old concept out of Gartner. I'll put it on screen here. This is the Gartner hype cycle, and go back. It starts with the peak of inflated expectations. Yeah, I don't know if anyone remembers, smartphones and e-commerce and the internet in general, and so many things. We all get very excited about them. And then there's the trough of disillusionment. Hey, wait a minute. This thing isn't as good as they said. I was promised I could type 6 words and it would write an amazing search optimized article for me in 10 seconds. But then we start to get realistic about it and learn methods and techniques. I tried to go into those in my presentation, up that slope of enlightenment, and finally just that plateau of productivity. This is the new normal. This is how users will use it. This is how marketers can leverage it. So the AI hype cycle is a fantastic illustration from Gartner. It fits perfectly with AI because I've never, all these years, Joy, never seen this much hype around a technology. It's pretty amazing.
It's crazy. Actually, it kind of drove me nuts. All my YouTube feed was just nothing but AI videos talking about how, this is the next best thing and stop what you're using and create an article in 5 seconds using this particular tool and that particular tool. So that's definitely in the past, like you said. I think would you say that we're currently at the bottom, or do you think we're kind of going towards that mid-level at this point?
I think everyone's on their own journey, and that there are people who are still at that peak of inflated expectations, and they are, let's give like the worst example. They're like, hey, AI can write these articles for me. I'm going to do 10 of them and then go to lunch. Or AI can write comments on LinkedIn for me. I'm going to turn on a bot and let it run forever. And these people are not going to see and they're obviously headed for the crash. Disillusionment is coming. It's an illusion partly. The promises are overhyped. And then the slope of enlightenment, I think, is where I want to be, because when you're testing it and evaluating it as a tool, and like, what kind of utility does this have for me? The methods are very broad and go way beyond just writing crappy, medium quality articles. I don't actually ever use AI for that. I don't believe AI can do that as well as people think. Um, I use it to do audits of things. I use it to do analysis on data. I use it, of course, for idea generation, and most everyone does. But it's a fun topic, Joy, because it's a tool for which there is nearly like infinite use cases.
For sure. So I just want to get your perspective. Is AI something you should be using to write content, or is that a no-no?
Well, let me define briefly just what the elements of high performing content. The best articles are visual and have lots of charts, diagrams, screenshots, uh, tables. AI doesn't really do those very well, right? If you want a screenshot that shows you where to click in Google Analytics to find your lowest performing landing pages from paid or whatever, AI can't make that screenshot for you. The best, highest performing articles include insights from subject matter experts and influencers. AI can't really reach out to your friends and ask them for quotes on relevant topics. It doesn't do that very well. The best performing content is highly structured. It has short paragraphs and bullet lists and bolding and internal links and subheads, and AI can't really do that very well. It's generating like paragraphs of text rather than the shorter, punchier stuff. It doesn't know all of your past content. It can't put in the internal links. There's a level of structure that I always aspire to that AI is just terrible at. And then finally, AI, it doesn't have any perspective or opinions or life experience. So I've written sentences, and you and I have every day we say sentences that AI could never write. For example, GA4 is better than Universal Analytics. I believe that. I use it every day. AI would never write that sentence, right? Or I think that wearing clothes with a big brand logo on the front is for suckers. Like, why would I advertise for some other company and pay more for a T-shirt if it had a logo on it? AI would never say those words because that's a point of view. AI has no friends, can't create influencer collaborations. It has no opinions, can't create thought leadership. And it's just not very good at the structured visual things that are aligned with best practices.
So good news, I'm not a sucker because I got the shirt for free. I'm good.
Oh no, that is social proof. Actually, that is a strategic wardrobe choice, Joy. I totally appreciate that. And by the way, I didn't mean to. That was an example. I'm not judging people who wear logos, but I'm just giving examples of things that AI could never say.
For sure.
Yeah.
So I think one of the early use cases that I kept hearing over and over is that AI should be used to kind of scale things, right? So we had this client who's not a client anymore, and they took an article that we had written and they were like, "Ooh, we want to get one of these for like every city in our state. We want to take this and scale it." And he set up some very well done pages, about 200 to 300 of them. They were kind of replicas of the one we had done, but again, just targeting like different cities and stuff. And so I was like, you know what? We told him not to do this, but he did it anyways. And so I was like, it'd be interesting to see kind of what happens. And the only thing that went up was the number of unindexed pages in Search Console. So pages didn't even get into Google's index. They most definitely did not result in more traffic for him. What are your thoughts on that approach? Because I feel like I keep running into scenarios like that one.
Well, I think that there is such a thing as commodity content, but it's a pretty narrow definition. I can't imagine that AI would do a good job at that task. And I think that it just doesn't feel, it may work. But you give examples. I mean, I was going to withhold opinion until you have data, and you just started with data. So I love that about your perspective on it. But like, what if you are doing tech SEO for a very large, for a domain with a ton of URLs, and you discover that there's 450 URLs that lack meta descriptions? Well, they should be there. How to do that? It's a waste of human life for a person to go write those. Or let's say you're doing accessibility for a site with 2,000 images that lack alt tags. Well, they should be there. That's a best practice. That's important for visitors with disabilities. but it's a waste of human life to go write 1,000 alt tags. So there are examples where content should scale and creatives should use their powers for good on something more valuable than that. But really, I mean, how many of those things are there? I don't think it's writing articles for the most part. But I'm sure it's happening as we speak a million times all over the web.
Yeah, I agree. That those are great use cases, by the way, for what you can use AI for that's scalable. One of the things I noticed in one of the articles you wrote, I'm going to quote you here. You said, "If you can write an article in a single prompt, your audience can also write that prompt and get the same information," which
Yeah.
I think is really awesome. So, what are some good examples of what you should be using AI for when it comes to content?
Hmm. Well, AI is a skills leveler, so it can turn people with lower level skills into more expert people very quickly. And all of us have skills gaps, right? I've done SEO and analytics for 20 plus years, but I've never made an ad. Okay, I need to make a LinkedIn ad today. How can I make a high performing LinkedIn ad without 20 years of experience? If I create a persona and upload that along with the ad creative, upload that with a short list of kind of best practices for the patterns that high performing LinkedIn ads include based on some research, in seconds, it will tell me how to make a better LinkedIn ad. Actually, I'm working on these slides for a deck. So there are lots of ways in which it can audit things, tell you what you missed. You can look at things from the perspective of your audience, find gaps. I've got prompts that will audit web pages to tell me like, which of my marketing claims is not supported by evidence. That's hard to do, or in a content strategy, which articles have I not yet? Here's all my title tags for everything I've ever written, right? Or use those to infer the topic and tell me what articles should I write that I have never written. It'll tell you that. AI does incredible gap analysis. It can, in fact, do gap analysis on entire industries' work. If you just put in the simple prompt, what are the most important topics to my persona? I only use AI after uploading a persona. I don't think it's very good otherwise. I'll create a persona with a persona prompt or use your PDF kind of ICPs or something. And then ask like, what are the most important topics to this persona that are the least likely to be covered on big blogs? It'll tell you. Humans can't even do that. No human could do that. Ask somebody, hey, which of the top 10 articles, which of the top topics that are less likely to be covered by industry thought leaders? How do you answer that? Like, I think that's like an AI only use case, right? Human brains don't do good gap analysis, and no human could read every article written in a vertical. So yeah, there are some fantastic use cases for AI. I'm using it all the time. I just think that it's to talk about the peak of inflated expectations. I think writing articles is actually one of the worst ways to use it. I'm unimpressed.
So just want to pick that apart a little bit. So when you're asking it to give you content ideas, you're specifically asking for it to tell you what hasn't been written about, whereas versus I feel like a lot of the SEO tools we've used and things for content gap analysis, you're almost like looking at what has been written, right? So that you can kind of write something similar. So it sounds like you're doing something quite opposite here. Is that right?
Well, so I'm not just an SEO. I'm a content strategist, so I'm trying to do things for other channels as well. In that use case I mentioned, important points, right? Because those are thought leadership prompts, and it's a chance for you to differentiate your content based on your point of view and your brand, right? On your perspectives. That works. That is the heat-seeking missile of social media content is based on some of those ideas. What are the counter narratives in my industry? What are the least likely to be covered? What does my persona secretly think is false, but is actually true? These things will reveal highly differentiated topics. On search, yeah, I know that there's this big kind of follow the leader. What are the keywords on there? As I should include those. What did everyone else write about? I want to write about that. That's actually something else that kind of annoys me about search. It's like search marketers are kind of the opposite of brand marketers. They are not looking for differentiation. They're trying to emulate the performance of the top articles or URLs. I never did that really. I'm always kind of a reader first thing, and I stop and ask like, what is the most valuable thing that this reader needs that I can help them with? Only half of my articles are keyword opportunities, but prior to the decline in click-through rates, I had more than 1 million visitors a year from search reading these articles. I have articles that have been read 250,000 times from search. And I did those without analyzing the other articles, the other URLs. I did those by first thinking, like, how could I make the best piece of content on this topic? That's what the internet needs.
I agree. I feel like Google's algorithms lately have also been kind of moving in that direction. If you're just writing the same stuff and they've got like 1,500 copies of it already, it's actually harder to get your stuff ranked
Yeah.
or even indexed. So here's a scenario. Let's say you're a lawyer. You want to be that person that's coming out with new information, stuff that hasn't necessarily been written about. How do you balance that with search volume? Like, how do you make sure the articles that you're spending all this time on are actually matching things that users are searching for?
Well, boy, you're really like triggering all my counter narratives today. I think search volume is totally overrated.
Okay.
I ignore search volume. I will happily target ultra low search volume key phrases. But then I write an article that is like blows out the topic in extreme levels of detail, and I'll spend 12 hours writing a piece that has 3,000 words, and I'll use a tool like Market Muse to confirm that I covered off on the subtopics. But these things that I write, on average, they maybe rank for 200 or 300 phrases. Marketers who look at the search volume for the primary target key phrase and assume that's the only level of interest for the topic are mistaken. Any article that ranks for one phrase will rank for dozens or hundreds. I could show you some URLs, thousands of related key phrases. I have articles in Google Search Consoles telling me that article ranks for 2,000 key phrases. So when you look at search volume, it is a wild underestimation of the demand for the topic. It's only the demand for that specific exact match keyword. A good SEO targets the topic, not just the key phrase. Spread out your meaning, answer all the related questions, touch on all the related subtopics, go into much greater detail than your audience would have expected you to. And you can assume that the actual volume for the topic, demand for the topic, is probably 100x whatever your favorite tool told you was the potential interest. And by the way, the ultra low volume key phrases, and of course some phrases are less popular than others, those will always have the higher conversion rates because the visitor is so qualified for that page, right? They'll always have the higher engagement rates. The long tail is where all the fun is. That's where all the action is. That's where the higher conversion rates are. That's where you get a much, much more targeted visitor. It's the high volume key phrases that are actually the watered down topics, the topics for which you know the least about your audience's needs, where it's harder to convert the visitor because they wanted something really generic. The more specific the key phrase, the more you know about your visitor, the more you can service that visitor, and the more likely you are to convert them into a subscriber or lead.
Everything you say keeps making me think of like more questions. So I have a question to something you just said. Also, just a side note, if you're watching this and you have questions for Andy, I'm going to try and prioritize the audience questions over the ones that are going through my head. So please leave those in the comments and we will do our best to get to them. So you're talking about, I think I heard you say 12 hours that you spent writing an article. So
Sure.
What is an average for what people would kind of assume they're going to spend writing an article? Is there you spent way too long, it's probably not going to pay off, or you spent way too little? And does that vary based on the type of business? Like I think about the average small business we work with, they're very pressed for time, and they also don't generally have massive SEO budgets. So I don't know if spending 12 hours on an article would pay off for them or not. So kind of two questions. What would you say is a good kind of target to write a good article? And then has that declined at all with the use of AI?
We do a survey every year of 1,000 bloggers. I'm doing it now. I'm looking for responses. If anyone's, would take it, I'd be forever grateful. But the average amount of time spent on a blog post last year was about 4 hours. That is like 70% longer than when I started doing this survey 10 years ago. So people are spending more and more time on articles, and that's the reality of the kind of arms race of content. So someone that doesn't have 12 hours to spend on an article, I would challenge them I would start by reminding people this: the top performers get like 100x the results of the second best performers. So, and that is always true. Look at any marketing report you've ever seen, and it's a curve, right? It's not a straight line. There are no straight lines in marketing metrics and reports. So if you can create a top performer in any channel, tiny percentage of articles go viral, a tiny percentage of URLs rank on the first page in Google, a tiny percent of influencers have most of the engagement, a tiny percentage of of brands are top of mind. Anything, all things, right? There's like the top performers get 100x results. So your obsession should be about quality, not efficiency. You throttle back your publishing calendar or the amount of the quantity of what you put out, and just triple down on the quality of what you put out. Your content actually becomes much more efficient. I've done content marketing for 15 years. I only write one article every 2 weeks. That's enough. That's plenty. I don't need an article every day. These things are, they're evergreen topics. They're, many of them are optimized for search. It's thousands, I'll get, traction from these things often again and again over years. I can repurpose them. But that I do things that most people wouldn't consider. That article, that blogger research takes me 150 hours a year to make one URL. It's been linked to from 2,400 websites. Wow. Andy, how did you do that? How do you have triple the domain authority of your nearest competitor? That's how you go so far that you go so much more than your competitors would have expected, or your readers would have expected. So yeah, I think it's my obsession is with quality. I don't really care about efficiency. I never get to a point where I'm saying, oh, this is good enough. If I can do anything to it, I will keep enhancing it, make videos, do original research, take a stand. That's how to differentiate your content. And it's you'd rather have a couple of super high performers than another medium quality blog post published every week.
Yeah, I know we have one that's similar. We do a local SEO quiz every year. And again, definitely gets a lot of links. We get a ton of people taking it. We just update it every year. And that's awesome. I would argue maybe the average business owner would struggle with coming up with one of these ideas, right? Obviously you've come up with one that works really well with this blogger survey. So imagine a home services business and they're sitting around going who cares about lawn care, right? I'm a lawn care business. And how am I going to come up with one of these really interesting kind of linkable assets? What tips do you have for people that are wondering that?
Oh, well, their AI is perfect for you because it can do that extremely well.
Okay.
The prompt would sound like, what are the most common assertions in what was your? Do you want to do one together?
Yeah, let's do one. So lawn care. I'm just trying to think of a boring industry that's sure. Not super exciting.
No, great.
They care a lot about their grass and their lawns, but
this. Joy, this is going to be super fun. Okay. I'm going to go to ChatGPT and we're going to do some real time blue lawn care. Okay. I don't know a thing about lawn care, but
yeah, which is great, right? So that's good.
Yeah, this is perfect.
I assume a lot of people don't. So unless you're a resident lawn care expert.
Okay, so I have well, I'll do it this way. I'll show you this first. And some of this I'm not sure I would consider sharing. So this is a shared prompt library. It's a Google Doc. Persona development. What's that? Persona development, conversion optimization, SEO, content strategy. So in my content strategy folder, there's all kinds of, I just read some of these two almost. Thought leadership prompts, original research, find me communities where my audience spends time, write me a creative brief. So this one here, what are the most common assertions in a certain industry that are the least likely to be supported by evidence? What are the most common assertions in lawn care? So what I'm trying to do is to find a research topic. A research topic is a missing statistic on the internet. I want to find things that people are frequently asserting but rarely supporting with evidence. If I find something that everyone talks about but no one has yet backed up with data, for example, blogging takes a lot of time. I was sort of the first website to answer the question, how much time does it take to write a blog post? You're looking for missing statistics because the internet's not finished yet. This is the idea behind this prompt, is that it will elicit missing statistics from the AI that we can go prove and then publish and then promote. And then even our competitors will link to us. I got a strategy that will get your competitors to link to you. Imagine that. This is how it works. Find the missing stat with a simple prompt. Watering the lawn in the evening is best. Everyone says that. But maybe that promotes fungal growth. I don't know anything about it. That's an interesting assertion. Bagging grass clippings is necessary. Actually, research shows that it doesn't contribute to that, whatever. Using fertilizer for a greener lawn. Over-fertilized can harm the lawn. See how these are things where if you produce a statistic, or did some research or found or made this topic, like added data to this topic, everybody would talk about it, right? You could get press and win links. You could support your own marketing claims, right? We do it this way because our research shows. You show off your expertise. Like I've got a piece of research. We'd build websites. I had a VA go look at 100 websites in the Wayback Machine and calculate the average lifespan of a website. That supports my value prop, but it's also my website is the primary source for that information. The average lifespan of a top marketing website is 2 years and 7 months. That data is Wikipedia links to me.
Wow.
I know that's not an equity passing link. It just popped up one day. Wikipedia. I don't know anybody. I don't know any Wikipedia editors. Anyway, so yes, that is. These are very powerful methods. AI is great for the research piece, but combine that with your own perspective, and you've got a winner.
Well, good news is that Wikipedia link probably does actually pass some stuff. We've done some testing on no followed links. As long as they get traffic, they pass value. So I'm assuming Wikipedia gets traffic. So you're probably getting some credit from that.
There you go.
I tested Reddit. I didn't actually test Wikipedia because it's harder to get into, but Reddit links absolutely help with ranking. Okay, this is really, really cool. I wanted to actually give our audience a chance to submit a really boring industry that might be hard to do this with, and to just do one more, because I thought that was really interesting. So if you have like a industry for Andy that you'd love an idea on, and like some stats or some study that you could spend time on.
Or counter narratives. Let's try those thought leadership prompts. They're hilarious.
Yeah, I would love to do that. So put an industry or business type in the comments, and I'll pick one. While we're doing that, I want to also just really prompt people to do this survey. So Richard, if you could put that on the screen. This survey that Andy does, as he mentions, he spends an insane amount of time on. So I wanted to help him out, since we have so many people on here who are likely writers and marketers, to just take the time to fill in the survey. I will make sure I fill it in myself as well to help you out there. Death care industry. That's interesting.
Wow.
Or roofing. Roofing's also insanely boring. Take your pick. Moving, roofing, solar, death care. We're getting a bunch here. Andy, you pick one.
Optometry. I think we should maybe go. The first one I saw, let's give it to Joey for RV storage.
So boring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we should also just share the prompt so that everybody can go play with it.
Sure.
You can see the prompt. I'm not very squeamish about sharing my prompts. Okay, I'm going to start a new. I don't know if ChatGPT cares that we're inside this conversation. I'll just do it in the same conversation. I'm going to let's do a thought leadership prompt. What false things do people believe to be true, and vice versa? Or how about this? What questions are people in this industry afraid to answer? What questions related to, what was it, RV storage?
RV storage. Yeah.
While we're doing that, let's grab another one. This will be fun. What false things do people think about RV storage that are actually true? What counter narrative opinions? Usually I make the persona first and upload the persona. All results are better if you upload a persona first.
Sure.
In RV storage, are least likely to be discussed by bloggers and thought leaders. Okay, what security measures do you have, and how effective are they? People don't want to talk about that. How often does theft and vandalism occur here? Boy, that'd be an interesting piece, right? Crime, RV break-in crime statistics across with a map or something. Insurance coverage for damage or theft. A lot of these are damaged.
Yeah.
Of course, you can imagine why an RV storage company wouldn't want to talk about damage or theft.
Right.
Pest control.
Oh my goodness.
Wow. How often is it maintained? Are there hidden fees? So, okay, let's be upfront. There's 95% of these you don't want to touch. I think thought leadership is very difficult for brands to do. Those were kind of a fear-based thing that may not have been useful at all. And if it's not, we only invested 45 seconds in it. I'm fine with that. So these are very low stakes. I joke AI might as well stand for another input. Feel free to dismiss 95% of what it gives you, right? I don't need and when you're not using it for writing, accuracy is not a concern as much. Anyway, so counter narratives. Indoor storage isn't always worth the cost. They might not be as secure as they claim. If they know that's a concern for your audience, you can play up security and maybe address some of that. The environmental impact of storage is significant, or some are overcharging for certain services. If you want to do one more, we could maybe go back to the original research. What new original statistics could we publish that others would find useful in and might be read about on their blog? RV storage blog. What could we publish that other people might cite as a citation? Right? Yeah.
Ooh, so, that's an interesting one. Home versus a facility.
Average cost. Yeah, the comparison. Percentage increase in RV value if there could, that would support a sales proposition, right?
Sure. Yeah, as long as the data's on your side, right?
Yeah. Anyway, happy to share these prompts, and you can just imagine how this is definitely worth a half-hour exercise to find gaps on the internet. This is not, humans cannot easily do this. Persona-driven AI-powered gap analysis on the body of work for an entire vertical. I don't think that was possible pre-AI.
That's really awesome. I feel like this is also stuff that I haven't heard a lot of people talk about. Again, like all the videos and things I'm seeing on AI are all these tools that are automatically writing content for you. So you talked about the persona thing. So I assume you're creating kind of custom GPTs. Can you maybe walk us through how you created persona again for this RV? Let's just stick with them. If they're in Florida, let's say, I assume their persona would be a person in Florida. How detailed do you get with them?
When I'm doing this for myself, I have nicely documented ideal client profiles. And I've discovered that I have 2 or 3 of these things that I get the best results when I just give it all 3 in one big PDF. And my ICPs have got a lot of information in them. And then I talk to it about content strategy, or my Google Analytics data, or I have it audit a thing, or I just brainstorm topics together with the AI. If you don't, and most people don't have sales vetted, battle tested ICPs, in that case, there's a persona prompt you can use that will create a synthetic member of your audience. And you can either take that out of the AI and save it as a PDF and use it every time forever after, or share it with your team. Or you can just save that conversation you had with the AI and come back to that every time you want to talk to it. Which again, Joy, I could show if you want to see one. I'm doing these things all the time.
Sure. Yeah. Go for it. I think. Do you want to just stick with the RV one, and let's just assume we know where they're located?
Sure.
Because I know with local, obviously your persona would be in a specific market area, right? So I assume that they would have to live within a certain area.
Yep. You nailed it. So for you, for this topic, you'd probably make sure it's geo-specific. So here's the prompt. I'm going to do. Let's just start fresh. I have a custom GPT, but I don't use it that much. So build me a persona. This was all for Joey, of an RV owner. I guess this is an RV owner.
Yes, yeah, it would be an RV owner.
Of an RV owner in, I'll say, the Midwest U.S. Who is, this is like B2B, so I'm going to take this part out. This person is looking for help with RV storage and is considering RV storage facilities. List their hopes, dreams, fears, concerns. This is very specific, and the crafting of this is really deliberate. Their hopes and dreams, their fears, concerns, their emotional triggers, and their decision criteria for selecting a new RV storage facility company. So this will tell me if they're worried about pests or theft, or if what brought them to this. Okay, so ChatGPT just updated the memory. I didn't really want it to do that. There's something I've been experimenting with AI, doing lots of things that are adding to AI's memory for me. Anyway, so this person wants to protect their IV from weather, find a convenient one close to home, keep their RV in top condition, and they want easy access. Okay, let's say it was missing that, but that was important. My next prompt would just be add easy access. You missed it because I don't
Mm-hmm.
trust AI. You gotta have it. You gotta keep improving it. It's worried about damage, cost, safety, and restricted access. Kind of the converse of the hopes. They want to their emotional triggers is C assurances. So that's a format for content. Trust seals, badges, testimonials, case studies, data. Comfort knowing that it's safe and secure. Okay, maybe we can play up however we keep in touch with our audience while our customers while their RVs are in storage. Testimonials, visuals, or descriptions. So now that I have all of this, I could give it an RV storage homepage. This is magical. Does Joey want to share one? RV
Yeah,
storage.
Joey, if you want to put one in the chat, we can try and use one.
If you give me a web page, Northside Storage. Wow, look at these.
I think these ones are like just storage facilities. I don't know if there's, I guess,
yeah.
I don't know if there's a difference.
Some of these are
like
actually
self-storage
aggregators. Yeah, I'm looking for one that's an actual page. Aha, RV storage. That's like a map from Storage Mart, public storage, cheap RV storage, self-storage, Illinois. So let's say we're this one. Oh, these are like real estate sites, actually. It's a little bit trickier to, my next prompt isn't designed for this UX. Did Joey submit one?
No. You could pick, I'm just looking, like Life Storage, they're a self-storage facility. I don't know if that's the same thing as RV storage, but you could use them. They're like an actual storage facility.
Okay. Let me click on one more of these and see if we can if there's just a web page.
Life Storage is definitely a real, like they're an actual company. You could click on any of these locations and it would get you to the location page.
Yeah, what I'd like to find is like a location page.
Yeah, I think if you click on, there you go.
How about
now
this?
You got one.
Okay, so I'm going to leave that up there. Now I'm going to take a full page screenshot of this URL. It is capturing all the text. The FAQs were collapsed. I might just open those up before doing this. So now I've got a full page screenshot of my page, and I've got my persona. I've got the two things that I need, and I'm ready. Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry. That tool, is it paid or is it free? Go full page?
Free. It's just a Chrome extension. Yeah.
Amazing.
That's a free page. That's a free. The other one is called Awesome Screenshot. We could get into it. There's actually 3 ways to give AI a web page. You could give it the link, which is the same as giving it the HTML, which you could download the HTML. You could copy and paste the text, which lacks any UX and visual hierarchy, or you could copy and paste or you could get the full page screenshot and upload it, which is going to kind of be a better way to evaluate things like trust seals and things. Best practices for, I'll just put web pages. This said B2B service pages a minute ago. So I've got the persona, I've got the page, and I've got the prompt. Those are the 3 pieces, right? So the persona's above. So now AI is actually going to do gap analysis on that URL and tell me if it's missing anything. To what are the unmet information needs of my audience? It doesn't mention RV storage. The header just said the Chicago self-storage. It didn't mention RV. Okay, so that's an obvious gap, although I didn't spot it right away. It said, does not directly address concerns such as security measures for large vehicles, weather protection, or ease of access. Hey, if you're trying to generate leads for RV and the page fails to address the audience's key information needs, you will have a lower conversion rate. This is the point, right? The best pages emulate a sales conversation. So it should be very detailed and answer all this visitor's questions as if you're on the phone with the top rep. The order of the messages, supportive evidence. There's no testimonials. There's no photos or videos showing RV storage facilities. I think we're looking at a page that's just about general storage. But the use cases and the method is the same. Give AI your persona and give AI an asset and combine those with like a prompt that has specific best practices. This is mine. The header indicates the relevance of the page. That's also SEO. Copy answers visitors' questions. That's also SEO. Order of messages aligns with their prioritization. That's sales. It is a supportive evidence to support marketing claims. That is conversion, although an EEAT nerd would tell you that's an SEO thing. Weird people, right? SEOs are so funny. It's like, oh, now I have to add, Google said I need to add trust. What? Why didn't you do that before? Oh no, EEAT, it's so important for search. What? It's about your visitor. SEOs are all cheese and no mousetrap. Come on, people. You should always have been adding trust. People ask me like, why don't you talk about EEAT? It's because that was self-evident from the day you made a web page. Like, how did you not add supportive claims to your supportive evidence for your claims? It blows my mind why not until Google said that trust was important that people started adding trust. Let's all be dual threat marketers here, right? Cheese and mousetrap, right? Cheese alone is insufficient. SEOs are not lead gen marketers until they combine that with the elements of pages that drive conversion. So this is not an SEO prompt, but some of these things are good for search. Anyway, I'm ranting. You get the idea, Joy. I think you get the idea.
Yeah, I want to actually deliver on my promises and take one of our audience questions right now.
Cool.
So here's a good one from another Andy, lots of Andys. Andy wants to know if Andy uses a mix of LLMs for different prompts and work for SEO. I've obviously been using ChatGPT, but do you use others?
No, I have tested others, and the difference isn't so dramatic that I've picked a winner. I'm a content marketer, so I'm trying to teach methods that are accessible to anybody. ChatGPT is probably the most accessible and the first, and the one people are most comfortable with and have an account for. Whichever one I feel the same way about what content management system should you use. Well, which one do you like? I mean, they all, there's no difference in performance mostly. But there's so I try to be agnostic to technology generally. The one difference though, and the thing that I just did was I uploaded a file. And I think you might need the ChatGPT Plus account for that. I'm uploading things to AI all the time. I give it GA4 reports and ask it to find insights. I give it, screenshots and, so no, I'm a fan of any account that is, Gemini, Copilot, Anthropic's Claude, or ChatGPT, any account that lets you upload files, because most of my most successful use cases involve giving it something and talking to it about the asset.
Here's another good question. Wrong one. That's definitely agree though. Worth dropping the money on. I think in your presentation you said at MozCon, Andy, that it's like the same amount of money as like a drink, right? So
yeah, if you leave a tip, a cocktail will cost you $20 today. I'm a good tipper, but yeah, I don't think this is the place in your life where you want to save $20. I mean, they spent $1 billion making it. You can get access to it for the best, fastest, most comprehensive versions for $20. It's worth $20.
So this is the question, which is a valid question. You're talking about these prompts. They want to know if there is somewhere they can grab them. I had a feeling you're sharing like some internal documents. You probably won't share those, but is there any place that people can grab these?
Yeah, there's I've published them all, I think.
Okay.
I will. They're at orbitmedia.com/blog. So there are the detailed descriptions with them. I'll put a few here into the chat for you to share. That's one that audits web pages.
Awesome.
There's another one here for, I'll share the one about thought leadership. Actually, let me just put this in the chat. These are, that's a link to all of the AI articles. Every one of those has prompts in it.
Amazing. And I mean, obviously, this would be a good opportunity to tell people just to follow you. Like, where's the best place for them to get all of this information as you release it? Do you have a newsletter that they should subscribe to?
Yeah, I write an article once every 2 weeks on the Orbit blog. And if you subscribe at the Orbit site, you'll get one new article every 2 weeks. It's the only emails we send. If you follow me on LinkedIn and subscribe to the LinkedIn newsletter, which is simply called Digital Marketing Tips, Then you'll get an art. You'll see me on LinkedIn every week. Every other week is a new thing that I write. I told you my frequency, and every other article is something me updating and pulling in from my older body of work. So if you want something weekly, LinkedIn. Otherwise, if you just want the latest, orbitmedia.com.
Awesome. You mentioned earlier that images are a huge part of what makes content perform well. Do you use AI at all to generate these images? Has it cut down your time for that process?
I've never used an animated GIF in an article. I've never used a stock photo in an article. Every AI image generation, the image generation models feel like long shot prompts to me. It's like you can just see what you get. Like you can't really control it. You can't. Creative directors must hate it because you can't control it at all, not easily. I have played with it and used it a little bit for featured images occasionally on LinkedIn, but mostly no. The images I'm creating are like diagram. Like I'll sketch a diagram and my designer will redraw it. I will sketch an infographic and they'll redraw it, or things where I do lots of screenshot markup things using TechSmith's Snagit. Snagit is a tool for like markup and boxes and arrows and things. But no, I'm not really using it for that. Although if I was a marketer in a different category, I probably would.
Awesome. We have another question from the audience here. How do you manage these memories that you were kind of referencing when working for multiple clients? Do you keep them or clear them out?
I've only so with a client, I would work with them to get on a persona and keep that persona, and I'd reach for the folder with all the personas and upload the persona, genericized, no company name, every time I talk to AI about their site or their content. Memories are kind of a halfway in between, just a persona prompt and a custom GPT. There's overlapping use cases for these things, but if you use memories in AI, it's updating the memory too often. But I could show you just briefly. This is kind of what it looks like if you're playing with AI with memories. So here I am in here. I can go to my settings. Under settings, there's a personalization. Under personalization, there's manage memories. And I have, I was playing with my daughter. She likes griffins. Somehow that worked its way in here. There's a bunch of stuff in here that I didn't want it to memorize. There is I'm at the library deciding what book to check out, trucking, RV storage. But this is how a memory might work. When the user types #persona, ask it the following questions about the target audience, and then use that information gathered to create a persona with hopes, dreams, fears, concerns, emotional triggers. So all I have to do, because I typed that in there, all I do is type in #persona, and now AI is interviewing me, and I can start talking to it rather than just writing that one prompt and filling in the blanks. Okay, that's just another way to use it. I used a memory to kind of trigger a little workflow, or you could just put your persona into there and just always talk to it about that. But really, making a custom GPT is not that fancy, right? If you've played with it, here's a custom GPT. It's like you're just still typing into boxes. So this is my persona copied and pasted in here. Some conversation starters which appear over here. Here's the training the training materials. You can upload files. There's the uploaded file. And then if I start playing around in here, then you can share this with a team. That's the biggest difference. Share this with anybody on your team, and they can always come back and use this custom GPT. So if I just use this, it knows my persona. It's like, let's grab one of those other prompts. Content strategy, copy and paste it. It'll be specific to my audience.
And Andy, do you mind just showing where the memories part was? I think the video didn't show your screen quick enough.
No problem. If you click on your profile and go to settings.
There we go.
And then under settings, go to personalization. And then click manage. The memory will be there. Go to manage memory. It's similar to like custom instructions. And then you could just put anything in here. To add things to this, actually, you just type a prompt that says remember, and then whatever you put into the prompt will appear in here. Remember, when I give you the whale emoji, tell Amanda to have an awesome day. That was me just goofing off with AI. So Because I'm in the custom GPT.
Oh,
That
that's
was
funny.
funny. Yeah, I didn't mean to do that. It would have gone here. What are we doing, Joy? Goofing off. Oh, it didn't remember it here either. Oh, because I'm still in the custom GPT. I have to go to a new chat. This is the silliest AI problem you could imagine. Why isn't my whale emoji working? It's still in my custom GPT. I don't want it to be there anymore. There we go. Okay. That's all. It's like little scripts almost. You feel like you're programming a little bit. And there's a joke. They say English is the hot new programming language. If at its highest level, when you're working with AI, you sort of feel like you're training it almost like you're a programmer.
So one of the things I was going to ask you at MozCon, you talked about using ChatGPT to essentially analyze GA4 data to come up with pages that are getting a low click-through rate. Can you tell us, like, have you actually done that on any of your sites? And if so, like, what was the kind of results that you saw from it?
I didn't do the post measurement carefully enough to make the charts and to show the impact. But if you watched me do the method, you would say, well, that's just normal SEO. We all do that all the time. Like that's exactly how to do it. It's like a lot of things in AI. It's just a strategist doing the things that they would have done anyway by hand, but this time using a prompt. So if you go to Google Search Console and export from it all of your URLs and their click-through rates and average position, then you can have AI you can ask AI to show you which of these URLs has lower than expected click-through rates based upon its search position, and it will make a list for you. These are the ones that you'd think would have more clicks. Okay, so now the next step would be, if you give it the title tags for each of those, which are not in Search Console, they're in GA4. So now you have to go to GA4 and export a list of title tags with the page location or page path, and then give that to the AI, and it will map together like a merge, like in Excel. It'll do it for you, and now you have the title tags for all the articles that have lower than expected click-through rates based on their search position. The next step, it feels like you could almost do it at scale, because you just say suggest higher click-through rate title tags for each of these articles based on your expert knowledge of visitor psychology and SEO and maximizing click-through rates. And it will, and then just review the answers. Again, it's AI is another input, and some of those ideas will be amazing, and some of them will be, weird or boring or obvious. So that's an example of that is efficiency, because that would be very hard to do manually. And also, it's a bit special because you're not looking for, typical click-through rates based on search position. It's using your own site as a benchmark. It's your own data. So it should be more accurate and meaningful than just whatever Advanced Web Ranking's latest report on click-through rates by search position.
Awesome. There's something else you mentioned in your MozCon presentation that I wanted to ask you about. You talked about pages that have received traffic from AI. So first question on that, like, how would you even be able to measure that? And what are some of the patterns you've seen?
I'm going to have to share again. Are you okay with this, all this visual stuff?
No, it's great. It's great. Don't worry.
Oh, okay.
Helps tell a story. You're kind of following your own advice here, right?
Yeah. So I'm a GA4 guy, and I'm in here a lot. And the reports, there's things that you can't do in reports, but you can do over here in explorations. So I made an exploration. It's a free-form exploration, and the dimensions for this were the page referrer, where did that person come from, and the landing page, where did they start? And then I made a segment to show people that came from certain sources. So it'll show you. So this is regex. When the page referrer is from a website that has the AI domain extension, or it's from ChatGPT, like perplexity.ai, or it's from ChatGPT. It's coming from openai.com, or it's from Copilot. Then see, that's how regex works, right? You're kind of familiar. Does that make sense?
Yep.
It looks weird, but that's just me saying, only show in this report traffic when the visitor came from a website that was something.ai, or they came from ChatGPT, or they came from Copilot. I guess I should probably add Gemini to this now.
Mm-hmm.
So uh, the report that you see here, let me just close these out. The report shows people came from Perplexity, although Google doesn't know what page they landed on. People came from copy.ai to read my blogging statistics. People came from Perplexity to read my website navigation article. Right. So these are, let's last 12 months. Probably that's right. So there's a huge gap in here because traffic from apps shows up as direct traffic without a page
Lovely.
referrer. Yeah. So this is maybe capturing, I guess, maybe a third or a fifth of the total traffic coming from AI, because most people are using AI and their, mobile users are going to use AI on an app. But still, this shows the patterns and which AI platform they came from to read which content. So then you could analyze this. In fact, I could export this and give it to AI and say, analyze the landing pages that are getting traffic from AI tools, suggest a content strategy that would help me attract more traffic from AI tools. But that's all I did, was make an exploration using a regex segment that shows traffic when the visitor came from an AI source.
And how is AI stacking up as a traffic source? Like, I mean, obviously Google's the monster, and I often ignore Bing because it's like I don't know, usually 2% or less of most sites that I look at. So where is AI in that mix?
Oh, it's a fraction. It's a
Okay.
fraction. You're going to have AI is not going to completely supplant, even if everyone switches to AI. AI is not going to completely supplant traffic from search. There'll be less traffic. It's an easy prediction. Websites will get less traffic next year than last year, period.
Mm.
That's mostly traffic to information intent pages and phrases, right? People looking for simple answers. Probably nobody should be able to monetize people wanting simple answers anymore. I think that'd be good for the internet. People can't monetize a visitor who just wants some simple, quick answer. But for sure, it's going to be true that, I mean, I could make a user here. Let's make another user segment. When the session source medium contains organic, it's gonna be down here. Session source medium.
I assume this wouldn't be considered organic, right? Like they don't consider any of these sites organic.
No, the AI one was all referrers.
Right.
But if I make session, well, why don't we just do I'll just do the default channel group exactly matches organic, right? That's should say organic. That normally comes up. Default channel group. So this will show me, I don't know, half of my visitors or something like that. So if I compare these two, this is organic traffic. It didn't like the organic. What was it? Capitalized? Default channel group exactly matches organic with a capital O. In any case, this would show you that there's like probably 10 or 100x traffic from search than from AI. I don't think AI will ever be a massive source of traffic the way search used to be.
Right.
But it's real.
Well, it's the question people are asking. We actually got our first lead from AI this week. We've never had one before, but they're like, "Oh yeah, I found you by asking who the top local SEOs were in the world." I was like, "Oh, okay, that's new." So is that like that's a thing that everybody's been talking about? You're going to have to optimize for these AI prompts and things like that. Do you think that's going to be a thing in a few years? I realize that's a prediction, but
Absolutely. I think that the smart marketers are asking it now. The question sounds like this: how do I get AI language models to recommend my content and my brand? And I think the answers will be things like get yourself included on list posts that appear on media sites. I don't love that strategy, but the AI, you can tell it's pulling from lists sometimes if you click through. Have a giant digital footprint. Say yes to every opportunity to publish anything, anywhere. Make sure that you're, especially if it's, go on podcasts that have transcripts, publish on YouTube. It will read all the transcripts. That's part of the idea, is to be in the training data, because AI is going to keep ingesting large amounts of data. And also, of course, obviously, don't block AI from crawling your site. I got that question the other day. It's like, I feel it's going to steal our stuff. So how do I block AI
Oh my
from
God.
reading my marketing material? Like, why would you do that? Oh, well, I heard that New York Times is, well, yeah, but they're a media website. They want AI to pay them a license fee, basically. You're a marketer. You're trying to be as visible as possible. That's like meeting people who want to no index their site or something. It's crazy.
I saw on ChatGPT the other day, I was searching for like the top personal injury lawyers in a particular area. And like, you're absolutely right. It was really pulling from lists. It actually used super lawyers like 3
Sure.
times as the
Yep.
source. And I was like, wow, I don't know why super lawyers and not the other sites, but they seem to really like that one for some reason, which kind of made me wonder, how do you know what sites AI is trained on?
There's a lot of people who are writing about this and saying like, mostly SEOs are writing about this, talking about getting into the AI overview. I think it's a bit narrow-minded because that is not the only, there's other AI models that might be far more popular for and leading to greater clicks. I think like Perplexity or stuff. But the only way to do it is to just put in lots of queries and keywords and prompts and try to figure out where it's pulling from. Uh, in the end, I think it's very unstable. It won't give you the same answer tomorrow.
Hmm.
So it's not like search. It's not paying attention to links. You can't easily value these. And so it's probably too early to bet on a certain, oh, these are the top 8 media sites, or these are the top. Having said that, it's published in public where ChatGPT 3 was trained. And you can find that list. I think here, I'll read it to you. And of course, ChatGPT 4 was built on ChatGPT 3. So the top media, um, where did I have it? Okay, the knowledge source, Hacker News. ChatGPT was trained on these knowledge sources: Hacker News, Quora, Medium, WordPress, Facebook, Blogspot, Scribd, SlideShare, YouTube, Stack Exchange, Fandom, and Yahoo.
Wow.
So that's
So
just
how
a
do you
big chunk of the internet.
shock that Reddit's not on there, but maybe, they've got some deal with Google.
Oh, no. Reddit was very heavily weighted. That was in the previous slide, actually, I should have mentioned. Uh, Web Text 2 was a part of the knowledge base, and it was given 20% weight. And even though it's only 4% of the total amount of words in the data set, and it is basically pages that were linked to from Reddit posts with 3 or more upvotes.
Oh my goodness.
That's what we're all enamored by, right? This tool that was heavily trained on Reddit posts with links to websites that had links from Reddit posts with 3 or more upvotes. Wow. Um, who
If
knew?
Reddit's not a part of people's strategy, I feel like it should be. Like, I've been heavy on Reddit lately, and I kind of agree. Like, Reddit has good stuff. I actually trust it now more than I trust Google. Like, if I need a recommendation on something, finding the right subreddit with people that are like passionate about that topic,
Sure.
it's a great source. I think people should be training on it.
And even if AI didn't exist, Reddit is appearing in more search results, I think, right, Joy?
Oh yeah, a lot
Yeah,
more.
a lot more.
Um, Yeah, we had this question over at the local search forum that I thought was interesting. They were asking about these obscure old directories that I bet you probably haven't even heard of because you're not really as big into the local SEO space, but like Hot Frog, Bubble Life. I've never even heard of that site. Local Mint. These are like random websites. They're like, oh, I was told that being listed on these sites is more important now because AI is training on them. What would you
Hmm.
would you say to that?
Well, I think that uh, I think it's too granular to try to find places that AI is being trained on, because AI ingested the Common Crawl, which is you can download it yourself. It's it's a nonprofit, massive data set, and it's petabytes of data or something huge. But it's like 85% of the internet. So I think that it's not really worth the time to try to guess what AI is going to pull. Instead, I would more broadly just make your strategy to be present in many places. Uh, start with your audience. You know, that's the difference between like ethical marketers and spammers. I mean, if you're really focused on your audience, that's the best answer. Give it your persona first. That's the best answer. Focus on, so wherever you're, the RV thing, Reddit, yeah, maybe, but The RV blogs, definitely. Because as soon as the person types in a few words, right, that's going to prime the AI to go look at that corner of the web. So I think it's really hard to kind of give general answers. Like, it's like the old days. Well, what media sites should I try to be in to get good links? Like, well, anything with a high domain. But ultimately, we're trying to connect with an individual, build trust with them, and anything that we do to be present in that other news source or blog or media partner should be something so relevant that we're proud to put that logo as an as seen in logo on our website. So don't overthink it. Yes, have a big digital footprint. Yes, right for everyone. But yes, target those associations and trade publications and relevant blogs and collaborate with the relevant influencers and try to get mentioned on the YouTube channels, that are all about RV storage. That's a better way to go.
You gave an example in your MozCon presentation. You said when you searched on ChatGPT for what is the best web design company in Chicago, it lists your company first.
Mm-hmm.
Was that something you went after, or you just naturally have that because you've been doing all these other things to naturally get it?
I never went after that. I mean, that's something that we would have had to have built prior to ChatGPT launching because they were training the model on it.
Right.
That is something that happened just by having a big digital footprint long ago and by writing for many websites long ago. I mean, when I was a young content brand 17 years ago, I had very few articles. I spent 3 years where 2/3 of my content was written for other people's websites. Everybody should do that. If you're a young brand, a new domain, most of your content should be written for other people's websites. You'll get a greater visibility because that's where your audience is hanging out. They're not on your site. You'll get links from other websites, and you'll be in more of the training data for the next crawl when ChatGPT bot comes by. So I wasn't focused just on one of those benefits at the time. I was, yes, link building, but I was also becoming a better writer, networking with great editors and influencers, and trying to put my content in front of people where they would read it. So, anything that you do purely to appear in AI or purely to appear in Google search results is much more likely to be spam than anything that you do with your audience, audience first mentality. I'm ranting again.
Yeah. Well, you said something in your presentation, I think, that kind of hit home, which was that the same pages that get a lot of AI traffic were the ones that get a lot of links, right? So those two things kind
That's
of
right.
align.
If I showed you a minute ago that regex segment in an exploration showing URLs that got landing page traffic from AI tools. That's really about the same as the Google Search Console report showing my top linked URLs.
Mm-hmm.
Blogging statistics. It's that super long article about website navigation. It's like homepage best practices and how long does it write an article and all of those things. It's really it's like a PR mindset. That's what's going to lead to links. That's going to lead to click-through rates from AI. Because if you're in AI and AI says the average article takes 4 hours and 10 minutes to write, what? Wait, where to get that? I got to find the source. I'm going to click on the source. I tapped, I land. This is a real deep piece of content. So that PR mindset, I think, is more important than the nuance, the specific, places that you hope AI to pull. But Joy, I'm going to say, like, those list posts, that's probably going to work.
Yeah.
If you're on a list post, it's pulling from those.
Right. That's a solid tip. What are your thoughts on redistributing content on social platforms? You kind of alluded to it there, like publishing on other platforms versus publishing on your site. What's your advice on that?
Well, not an AI specific tip, but the best thing I've done as a B2B marketer in my career, and the reason why I'm not at all concerned, well, one reason why I feel fine even as Google click-through rates go down, is that 4 years ago I launched a LinkedIn newsletter. LinkedIn newsletters are kind of magical because the visitor can subscribe with a single tap of a finger instead of typing in their email address. And there are 100 million miles between your mouse and the keyboard, right? People, it's really hard to get them to convert and type their email address. So LinkedIn newsletters grow quickly because of the friction to subscribe is so low. And LinkedIn is promoting it for you all the time. They want to attract people to their platform. So 4 years ago, I launched a LinkedIn newsletter called it Digital Marketing Tips. I write one article every 2 weeks. That's the new one. Every other week, I repurpose something that's old. Syndication, Ross would say distribution, right? Whatever you want to call it. And that, since doing that, yes, I've decided to build on rented land. We always used to say, don't build on rented land. It's like it goes against some of my original best practices, but I knew I had to keep adapting. My article from yesterday has 50,000 views.
It's insane. I was looking at them. You have like 200,000 subscribers there. I was like, holy, that's no small amount.
It's like hundreds a day. It grows. It's still growing fast because LinkedIn newsletters are so effective at driving traffic to the platform that Microsoft mentioned them on a recent earnings call.
Wow.
So I recommend it.
Now, this works well, obviously, because you are B2B. If you have a B2C company, which I would say a lot of like home services and legal or a doctor or something like that, do you think it would be as effective?
I don't think so. Audience first.
Yeah,
Home services, is it that your person's not on? They might be on LinkedIn, but not while they're thinking about home services.
right.
Uh, so I don't know a corollary for a B2C in those examples you gave.
Okay.
Doesn't feel right.
Yeah, you had a tip specifically, actually, one of your recent ones about social bios.
Hmm.
Here, I'll see if I can get the image up on the screen here. Basically, talking about like giving a person a reason to follow. Can you just
Hmm.
explain this?
Sure. Well, if you think of the follow button in any social network as a call to action, and you think about this profile itself as kind of a page, then you've got what kind of copy on the page would improve click-through rates in the call to action? Well, where a lot of people just make their social bio something that just says what we do, it's like a tiny about us, that's not actually a reason to follow. Your visitors more likely to follow if you summarize your content strategy. What are you posting about? Because the number one reason people follow is to keep in touch. We know that from research. But the number two reason is to see that person's posts. Why would I follow this account? Well, it's because I want how-to resources from security experts, practical guides, right? That's a summary of their content play. Much more likely to convert. So I named my LinkedIn newsletter Digital Marketing Tips. That's the most boring name I could think of, but it's specific and it gives you a reason to subscribe. I've seen people who launch a newsletter like, Andy, what do you think of my LinkedIn newsletter? And it's called like, What's in Brian's brain? It's like, what? Why would I do that? Ask yourself, pretend you're your audience or give it to AI, right? And just ask, why would your audience do that thing if you did not give them a reason to do it? That's
Yeah.
obvious thing, I guess.
So speaking of AI, you talked about some of the differences between AI and humans and what AI can do versus humans. And one of the things you pointed out that AI is very bad at is having opinions, right? And I noticed that with a lot of your content, you do pull in quotes and things from other experts. So you literally take your quote unquote competition, I would maybe argue,
Oh yeah,
um,
sure.
and get their input. So again, going back, let's just say we're a lawn care business and we're trying to like do this. So if a lawn care business wants to quote experts, are they looking for other lawn care experts then when they're publishing these things, like essentially their competition?
Well, if you think about content as being engaging when it starts a little conversation, including contributor quotes is sort of like taking the comments that you're hoping to get later and baking them right into the article. So it's not competition, or you could use an internal stakeholder to give a quote and put that in there. It would feel like a testimonial or like a contributor quote. But the idea is to make a piece that's engaging and to give people something to talk about. So I wrote this article that caused this like lots of conflict on YouTube with the video. The 13 things to remove from your website, right? Take the dates off your blog. It just makes your content look older faster. If your content strategy is evergreen, you put the date if it's relevant into the title, but you don't need to put your blog template have the date. People got really angry. You shouldn't upload PDF files. That's like the rust of the internet. People use PDF files because they forgot how to use WordPress and it's easier to upload a PDF. Or I said, press releases don't belong on websites. So these are strong opinions. Press releases are not digital content best practices. That starts with for immediate release. What does that mean? I'm on the internet. I assume I'm ready to, I'm allowed to read this. So my friend Michelle Garrett hates that advice. She believes that it'd be a mistake not to put press releases on your website. So I reached out to her to get a dissenting view to put into my content. I want a dissenting view. I want another perspective. I want the counterpoint because I'm not trying to be right. I'm trying to be useful and interesting. So I never, ever do I write an article without a contributor quote from an expert. I just
And
don't do it. Journalists
you
don't write articles
obviously
without sources. Yeah.
Sure. You obviously know a group of experts. So this would be, for the average small business, like the people you network with, the people you meet with who are in the same kind of industry as you that you well respect. Is that kind of safe to say that's who you pick? Like you pick people you know and well respect?
Yeah, and that's also the benefit of having, a big digital footprint and having a personal brand, including others in your content. Then they're going to reach out to you, hopefully, when they need a contributor quote, right? Because that's give what you hope to get later. Uh, but yeah, it's an editorial standard for us. It's called another way to put it is organic influencer marketing. Social has paid in organic, search has paid in organic, influencer marketing has paid in organic. And organic influencer marketing is also known as friendship, collaboration, and it takes three main forms: contributor quotes, interviews, and roundups. So it's if you want to, and in that list post example, you want a media site to publish a list with you on it, maybe collaborate with them and sure, get some competitors or whoever, right? Get that list post put together. But no, I think that organic influencer marketing is an ally in creating content, we say, is an ally in promoting that content. So Joy, if I was writing an article, you got a quote from you, I post it on LinkedIn, I tag you, you're very likely to engage. I have a reason to tag you. Content is optimized for search if it includes keywords. Content is optimized for social if it includes people.
Mm.
If you didn't put contributors in your article, you did not optimize it for social media because you have no reason to mention people when you share it.
Now that could be a hard thing for an agency to do, right? Like let's say your client is this business owner. I mean, he's the one that knows who all the other experts are and is networking with them. So like is this something that an agency can kind of do for somebody, or is this something really the business owner has to kind of do themselves?
I think it's hard for an agency if they don't know the category because they don't know the current thought leaders. But even if you're
Mhm.
in the industry, what the pros would say is that you still need research and tools to find the thought leaders because even if you're deep in an industry, you won't know them all. You
Right.
only know the ones that are close by to you. But there's your category, whatever it is, has different influencers on YouTube. And it has different
Right.
influencers who run podcasts that you've never heard of in your life,
It's
right? Whenever I'm on
wildly
YouTube, I'm like,
different.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
so different. Who are
So
you,
different.
YouTubers? This is
Yes.
my topic and you're crushing
Yeah.
it and I love you. So,
Oh,
so it takes research. Actually, there's another AI prompt for that. Write the
okay.
article, copy and paste it into ChatGPT and say, list 5 influencers that are attainable. Don't list celebrities. I want people that will respond if I reach out to them. They must be subject matter experts who share strong points of view, who might be worth contacting on, for this article, and then give it the article, and it'll give you a list. But yeah, influencer identification is a skill. It's a category of tools. There's lots of tools for finding influencers. There's agencies that just work with influencers that want to help you, connect with an influencer in your category. So it's a mature industry, influencer marketing. So people that do it, would share. You should have someone on your show that just does that because it's a really, really fascinating thing. The level I do it, it's really just contributor quotes for every article.
Now, when you said you use a tool for this, is it just fine to use ChatGPT? Like there are lots of paid tools for the record that'll give you like influencers based on particular industries. Do you need to pay for those tools, or is ChatGPT sufficient?
Quick timeout. I love this conversation we're having. These are such cool topics that we're getting into and that I don't get to talk about enough. I would say your best tool is just social media, because if you search social media, you're going to find people and you can try to filter to find, if you care about links, I'm in SEO
Mhm.
too, you can find people who are also content creators themselves. So a long-term plan for organic influencer marketing is to build up your network of potential collaborators, the best ones being, of course, those that also write content. People who create content create links. So I would go to LinkedIn and just search for, choose, narrow down to your category and search for people that your vertical and search for people that have like blogger or editor in their title, and build a list of 25 or 50 of those people. And then add them to a listening tool if you have one. You don't really need to, but start paying attention to them and follow their stuff, read some posts. And then when the time comes, hey, I'm working on a piece about this. I'm holding a phone as if it's actually a DM. Hey, I'm working on a piece about this. Would you like to contribute? I'd love to get your perspective. Now you're a press hit. They're very, very likely to respond because you're like a member of the media reaching out. So 99% chance they say yes. They send you a short blurb. You need to give them time. So you start your content earlier in this, right? I'm terrible. I sometimes reach out to people last minute and it's hard for them and they get cranky with me. But then just include their face, their name. By the way, visuals too, right? The best content has a visual at every scroll depth, which we already said. So that contributor quote gives you a reason to make your content more engaging by putting the face, the name, the company, the link, and the short blurb within quotes. Quotation marks are the most powerful key on your keyboard. Anything you put in quotes is more credible. That's why reviews are so powerful, right? Just put quotes around stuff. But yeah, contributor quotes from experts makes your improves your network, improves the quality of your content, improves the reach in social media because you added ego bait. They're likely to share. Ego bait is a funny word for it, and it improves your personal network, which in the long run has a big correlation with performance. I'm honored to be friends with many of my heroes in marketing because I've collaborated with them, time and time again.
Yeah, same. One of the things you mentioned in one of the articles that you wrote recently is this concept of how like a tiny percent of the top articles get and YouTube videos and whatever get the majority of the views. And we see this all the time. We'll look at clients and like, a tiny percentage of their pages are the ones that send all the leads. What do you do knowing this? Like, what's the action item knowing that fact?
Stop using AI to be more efficient. Instead, use AI to improve the quality of your content. Do anything you can to make it even a little bit better. Throttle back your publishing frequency if it allows you to publish things that are literally like exceed the expectations of the bots and the humans alike. So I think that it's you'd rather have, you don't need 1,000 articles. You need 100 great articles. Keep investing in those URLs. Keep those things updated. Keep publishing on that URL again and again over time. Brian Dean, famous SEO from years back, showed the world, right, that you don't need to have an endless stream of content. He just kept updating his older URL, built a giant content brand with only, like, I think it was only maybe 200 or so URLs total in that entire program on that massively popular website. So yeah, I think deeper, longer, more comprehensive, better supported, stronger opinion, more visual content with more contributor quotes from experts that will correlate with success much more than a bunch of shorties coming out every day. The world is not waiting for another medium quality blog post. Don't bother. Find a topic your audience cares a lot about and go into it very deeply. And if you thought me spending 12 hours on an article is a lot of time, once every 2 weeks, do I have an hour and a half a day for content? Yeah, I do. That's an important part of my job. I can do that. And I'm an owner of the business, right? I get up a little earlier than my competition and I write in the mornings. By the time my deadline comes up on Monday, that it's in good shape.
I have a question here from our audience. What you mentioned earlier, you were kind of talking about traffic loss due to AI. Can you elaborate on that? Like, how much traffic loss are you predicting, or are you even already seeing traffic loss because of AI?
We all see traffic loss because of SERP features. Featured snippets, people also ask box, knowledge panels, and now the AI overview. You've all been seeing traffic loss for years. That's a very likely true if we cracked open some GA4 accounts. That is mostly impacting blog posts and information intent keywords. But the bigger question you're partly asking is just, will user behavior shift from search and browsers and web pages toward AI tools that don't retrieve information? Instead, they generate information by summarizing the rest of the internet. Probably yes. How much? Gartner predicts 25% to 30%. Are we seeing that yet? No, we're not. There was an article just a few days ago that showed like Google search volume is up.
Yeah, imagine that.
Yeah. So it's a safe prediction, I think, after people realize just how convenient AI can be. But I don't think that it takes a long time to change that kind of behavior.
Absolutely. I want to give the last chance to our audience to just throw in a very last minute question for you. While we give them time to do that, I also just want to put up your survey again. Just want to call out people to fill this in if you are a blogger or writer. This is one of the things that Andy spends a lot of time on every year and updates. So it's a perfect example of all the stuff we've been talking about. We also have a newsletter ourselves, the Sterling Sky newsletter. If you are not subscribed to that and you want to know about our future webinars, when they happen, who we're talking to, make sure you also subscribe to that. Andy, were there any other stats from your blogging study that you did that you think are really noteworthy and that you want to point out?
The average article has gotten much, much longer over the years. That number just somehow keeps going up. And then we correlate people who say they got strong results with the other answers. And you can see that people who spend more time get better results. People who write longer, more detailed articles get better results. People who collaborate with influencers get better results. People who add more visuals get better results. I mean, the short takeaway is that people who are putting in the effort and are smart and strategic about it are getting better results. So as usual, I have no shortcuts for you, Joy. Everything that I recommend is like, I literally recommended getting up early,
Yeah.
reaching out. Like I recommended more work, but I also recommended maybe lower frequency, and so there you can strike a balance. But yeah, that's put in the effort. It's worth it. Think of it this way. I'll say this. Don't just put in a lot of effort hoping to get success, but plan for success and put in the effort knowing that you will at times succeed. Articles that perform well in search will get thousands of visitors a month. Imagine you have thousands of people coming over to your house each month. You'd clean up your house. You'd make it look great. Make it awesome because you will succeed. And when you do, you want to be proud for all of these people who are flowing through. Look at it from their eyes. Did you make it as good as you possibly could? Because they're going to come. If you do it right, they're going to come, and do it planning for success, knowing that you want to be proud of your content and your site when they land, and you want them to be blown away by the utility and the perspectives and the supportive research that you put into this piece. Take pride in your content, because when you do, not only are you most likely to succeed, but when you succeed, you'll feel better about it.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. You also, one of the LinkedIn articles that I read that's from your newsletter talked about like the types of content that AI should write versus humans. And you broke it down into two. I think it was like commodity content versus thought leadership. So what is the TLDR of that article? Like what should humans write versus AI? You break it down.
Well, if you find out for accessibility reasons you need 1,000 alt tags on your website, don't write those as a human. That's a waste of human life. There are tools that can do that quite well. That's commodity content, and it's for a good cause. But don't ever expect AI to connect with the person on a very emotional level, because that takes opinion. You have to stick your neck out. It takes courage. People don't follow others unless that person is leading with their thoughts. That's thought leadership. So AI can't take a stand. It doesn't believe in anything. It doesn't actually care about anything, but you do. It has no stories, but you do, right? So it's commodity content should not be done by humans, and thought leadership cannot be done by an AI.
Yes, this is so different than the narrative that I feel like we're getting on lots of other videos and articles that I've read. So it's refreshing. I have one last question for you here queued up. Before I do that, I just want to make sure everybody knows about our next webinar. The link to it is in the chat. Make sure you register for that. I'll be chatting with Mike Blumenthal and David Mim. Lots of really interesting topics around like reviews. There's some recent FTC guidelines that are going to be penalizing businesses easier who are buying fake reviews. So I have lots of really interesting things to ask these guys. So make sure you come to that. Last question I've got for Andy was something that I was inspired by, I think in a Facebook group I was in, talking about AI detectors, because obviously people are a little scared of hiring marketing companies and then they're just using AI to write these articles. And so AI detectors are quite common. And a couple of people said that like AI detectors are basically all snake oil and that they don't even work and they're not accurate. What is your response to that?
I think I've seen research. It was like a scholarly article that said that AI detectors have the false positive rates are very high. None of them work well with the newer models. And content, unless you're doing short, simple, lazy prompts that generate a lot of AI typical language, they are not, content is not detectable. AI content is not detectable. But I really am not that interested in the detectability anyway, because I'm obsessed with quality. If you use AI to find topics that are highly differentiated, so what if it was AI that helped you find that, right? You picked a topic that you feel strongly about. And if you give AI the article after the first draft is done, and with a persona, say what's missing from this article, it doesn't matter if it's detectable, if it's perfectly accurate, if it had bias. The methods we've talked about in the last hour and a half or so completely avoid those types of issues. I'm not set aside accuracy, bias, detectability, labor market impact, copyright, and just use it to find gaps in the stuff you've got or the stuff you're going to publish, and have it suggest ideas to make you better, and then go make it better and do it with your own voice. You do it from the heart. Like, if it means something to you while you're typing it, you are differentiated automatically from AI. It's very, very easy to differentiate your content from AI-driven content. AI has no friends, collaborate. AI has no opinions, take a stand. AI has no face, record yourself. There's so many easy ways. So yeah, it's the problem. This is a Jay Bear quote. The problem is not that AI can do what marketers can do. The problem is that marketers keep doing what can be done by an AI.
Ooh,
The,
that's
what we're doing
good.
right now, AI can't do this. What we're doing now, Joy, we are we are human, and let's celebrate that and always be different from what can be done by an AI. If you're worried about detectability, you're probably not going down the right path.
Solid point. Andy, this was so great. We got so many good comments. I don't know if you even had a chance to see them while we were chatting here, but like tons of great feedback. Everyone's requesting that I have you back again, so we'll have to do that. Last chance to tell just people where they can find you to get a hold of you after this.
Orbitmedia.com. And the blog there is where we publish. I think we shared a link earlier to like all those AI pieces if you wanted those. There's lots of other stuff there. I write and make videos about a lot of GA4 stuff and SEO stuff. LinkedIn is, as we said, my best social network. You're welcome to connect with me there. I have it set so the blue button says follow, but if you click, I think some dots, you can find the connect button, and then we can message each other. Everyone's welcome to connect with me wherever you'd like, whatever's best for you, and I'll help anyone however I can.
He's one of the most friendly people, man. When I was new to the MozCon arena, you were one of the most welcoming people. So yeah, from experience there. All right. Well, Andy, thank you so much for taking the time to just share everything with our audience today. I feel like you gave us just so much good information. So thank you very much for that. Until next time, everyone, have a wonderful weekend.
Thanks, Joy.
All right. Thanks.